We have a short one today, so I'll just start it.
Who are you?
I'm Ian Borden. I'm a professor of architecture at University College London.
What is a building?
A building is anything that anyone has built.
So my shoes are a building. How many three wise men were there?
3.
Who knows?
Oh.
And
Were there more or less than 3? That's like if I were to ask, how many 3 blind mice were there? To be fair with that first one, he could have been way more clear about what a building is, though.
I don't understand bread sauce.
It's a great way of making a really savoury sauce.
Bread and sauce are two completely different things, aren't they?
Well, they are, but you can grind the bread down and then cook it in milk to make a really good sauce.
It just looks like sort of cheese.
I wouldn't know what to say to that. What is the name of this gentleman? He's my mom's favorite judge on MasterChef UK.
When Henry died, Edward became king, aged just 9 years old.
Edward died aged 15, the youngest anyone had ever died of old age. When you teach a kid Shakespeare, do their heads grow physically bigger?
No.
It's comforting, isn't it, to realise we don't have nuclear weapons these days?
Well, it depends who you mean by we. The British have got nuclear weapons and have recently indeed decided to increase the number of warheads that they possess.
Yep, yeah, but they're blanks, aren't they?
What?
They're full of blanks.
No, not at all. No. These are fully capable missile systems with nuclear warheads. Many other states have them. I'm afraid that nuclear war and the threat of nuclear destruction remains very much with us.
I wouldn't know what to do with this.
All right, can we talk about something a bit more cheerful?
Anything you like.
Oh, bless him.
Do you like ABBA?
I love ABBA.
Yeah.
Me too. I was sent this video without a preface. It just said comedy mixed with history because I had asked for a video of that sort, but I don't know who this is. It says best moments of Philomena Cunk. I don't know if Philomena is the name of the woman or if she's playing a role or if this is scripted or if she's a comedian or if this is some type of, what do you call that? A parody character? Who's this American guy who was doing that? Stephen Colbert. Is it something like that or? Oh, you guys let me know.
A feminist looks in the mirror. Do they see an equal woman or a better woman?
They quite often, like all of us, look for what they want to see and they look for what they hope to see.
You see yourself back to front, don't you, in a mirror? But not upside down. Why is that?
Well, hopefully, because that's the way that mirrors are designed.
What power's a mirror? Sorry, you're not the mirrors expert, are you? And to add insult to injury, that money will most likely have a picture of a man on it because most banknotes don't have women on them, apart from the Queen, who's on all of them.
Exactly.
Maybe one day, human beings won't need buildings anymore.
That's a good one.
Although, for that to happen, we'd probably need to evolve skins made of bricks. And that might take at least another 30 years.
Macbeth is startled at dinner by the unexpected appearance of Banquo's ghost, played here for some reason by the letter H.
Which of you have done this?
But what was so great about Henry VIII? Why is he the king we all still remember, unlike, say, Richard V? Well, for one thing, he was fat, so he takes up more room in the memory.
Also, there is no Richard V. I think the Richard name died out after the third, I believe. At least for the monarchy, right? There are still dicks out there, but I believe the third is the last Richard. Now I'll look it up. I'll get
The
back.
Andromeda Galaxy is going to hit us.
The Andromeda Galaxy, a whole galaxy is going to hit us.
Yeah. On about the same time scale, actually.
So could we fall down a black hole?
Yeah, you could fall into one.
Is that the same? Because I heard that you could be, if, you know, this is one way that the world could end, is that we're all just sucked off through a hole.
It's
I mean, that must be terrible. Can you imagine what it would feel like to be sucked off through a hole?
Yeah.
There's something about this conversation happening with astrophysicist Brian Cox that makes it better.
In Queen Victorian times, women weren't allowed to vote, even though we had a female king. So some women formed a gang called the suffragettes. 1 in 20 people has been a victim of crime, which means that 19 out of 20 people are criminals. No wonder we need police. Over the centuries, many things have been used as money, including amber, wheat, eggs, travellers' checks, feathers, book vouchers, lobsters, beads, gold, leather, nectar points, rice, peas, mugs and money. It was only the last of these that caught on. It's almost unbelievable that before Charles Darwin invented evolution in 1859, no one had ever evolved. Without him, none of us would be here today, except in the form of fossils or gibbons. This is the National Theatre. It's designed to look so horrible that people are glad to be inside watching boring plays. Today, Britain stands at a fork in its crossroads, and its people are asking questions. Now we've got our country back, what actually is it? Who are we, and why? You know when you read a word in a book, and you sort of hear that word in your head, how do they get the sounds into the ink to make it play in your head?
I feel that this is a question that Carl Pilkington would ask, except he would be very serious.
Well,
she wrote, "The world to an end will come in 1881, a claim which has recently been debunked by experts through a careful process of looking around and seeing the world still here." Today, some people choose to turn the outside of their homes into a giant advent crown. A jolly house covered in electric lights may be expensive and use a lot of power, but it's the perfect way to cheer up a world worried about climate change and dwindling resources. Queen Elizabeth I got a crown screwed on here in Westminster Abbey.
Oh my.
It was in this ship Drake became the first person to circumcise the globe, which is probably why this sort of ship is called a clipper. People genuinely believed witches were amongst them. Their fear fueled by leaked photos like this. Did an explorer ever try to sail into the sky? You know, find a bit of sea that's sort of going up and...
No.
We're often told to feel sorry for those who are alone at Christmas. But these days, that's all of us, and it's brilliant. Why did Nelson always have one hand up his jumper? What was he doing up there?
Horatio.
He'd lost most of his right arm, so...
The pagans celebrated the solstice by cutting down holly and ivy and dragging it into their homes, along with a giant Yule log which they'd set fire to. It sounds rubbish, but with no app store to speak of, killing trees and plants was as good as entertainment got, even at Christmas. Despite being the stuff of nightmares, Santa is the world's most popular home intruder. But at Christmas 1914, there was a brief ceasefire. The fighting stopped. Soldiers got out of their holes and joined together in a place called No Man's Land, showing that even at moments of peace, men will still divide into two sides and try to beat one another.
Send in more history jokes like this. Circumcise the globe and a ship called Clipper was by far my favorite bit out of that whole thing. You guys will have to let me know who this is or what show this is coming from. Philomena Cunk is her name. And tell me if you like this video, because the person who sent this in sent in 2 more. There are 3 parts. I enjoyed that the people that she was interviewing were experts in their field, or at least the ones that I recognized. There were some that I've never seen before. Something about her delivery reminded me of the girl from Chicken Shop Date. If you've never seen that, it's in the title. It's a woman who goes on dates in a chicken shop. She's based out of the UK as well. Her name is Amelia, I think. But she's going on dates with celebrities and athletes, and it's perfectly awkward. I don't believe that's scripted. But if you want to see an episode, I'm going to link you the one of Louis Theroux. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's what I thought was just this very serious documentarian, but in the middle of this interview, he breaks out into a rap that I have not forgotten. You'll find that in the description. Leave your thoughts on this. This made me want to watch George Carlin because it was a comedian that made me think, and he is the leader of that category. So if you have a George Carlin bit that you want to recommend, tell me the title. Other than that, for a literary recommendation, there was a lot of Shakespeare mentioned. Maybe Richard III, the last of the Richards. He was a controversial king, but I'm not a big Shakespeare fan, to be honest with you. There was this film adaptation of Hamlet that I think was better than Leonardo's Romeo and Juliet, Leonardo DiCaprio, excuse me. But in this adaptation, it's set in the year 2000, and Hamlet is a film student at NYU, and because it's modern day, they don't have swords, they have guns, but there are still soliloquies, and some of the famous lines are still used, and the storyline is exactly the same. It's a young man who suspects that his uncle had something to do with the murder of his father. And who is this teen dream girl of the 90s that was in it? Not Claire Danes, the other one in Save the Last Dance. Oh, please. Julia Stiles. She's in it. And Bill Murray, and then some other actors of that time that I don't know their names. But if you haven't seen that, I recommend that to you. I'll make sure to write the title. And then for your music recommendation, we're going to pick an artist from the UK. I was listening to this album this morning, but the track is Leave Me Alone by New Order. New Order, who used to be Joy Division before their lead singer Ian Curtis died. When they were Joy Division, it was more of a post-punk goth rock genre, and then when they came back as New Order in the early 80s, I want to say, they had changed the sound to synth pop, new wave that had been really popular in that era. But Leave Me Alone is from the album Corruption, Power, and Lies. Or is it? No, it's Power, Corruption, and Lies. For sure it's these three words. I'll make sure to add a picture of the album. It has the flowers on it. But if you can think of another artist from the late 70s, early 80s, based in the UK that you want to recommend, let me know. Other than that, that's really all I have for you. So thanks for watching with me. Thanks for sending in this video. I liked it. And I will catch you in the next.